Welcome to Love and Speak the Truth with me, Sister Brenda, the podcast where all voices are heard with diverse guests from all over the globe. We make space for stories of integrity, justice, freedom, and joy. So come along. We're not afraid to get into the tough stuff, and we're actually not afraid to laugh along the way. So buckle up, open your heart, open your mind, and let's get this party started. It is a true joy to welcome my friend Annette Spiezio to the show. For more than 30 years, Annette has been guiding individuals and communities through counseling, consulting, speaking, and teaching, always with a deeply holistic and compassionate approach. She has a gift for listening, for bringing people together, and for helping others discover the strengths and insights they already have within. Her work reflects a genuine love for connection and a deep respect for each person's story. This conversation is one of meaning, growth, and friendship. I warmly welcome my friend Annette Spiezio to the show. So, welcome, Annette Spiezio. I'm so glad that you're here for the show today. I know you're a busy lady, but I want to welcome you. I want to thank you for being here with me to share a bit of your journey. And so, here we go.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, I just like for people to just give a little sense of where you are in your life right now. What led you into this healing work, the kind of things that you're dealing in your practice.
I'm a therapist and I've been doing this for, probably about almost 40 years now. And I do feel it is my vocation, my path that I was supposed to be on. And one of the things that always guides my heart in the work that I do is that I really love for people to feel authentic and seen. In my whole life, even prior to becoming a therapist, I always
Mm.
had a real strong desire for everybody to feel that they were special. And, I can sometimes do that to the fault. Like I can be considered a little bit, gushy or something, because I'm always telling people how great they are. But that truly informs my life. It's something that matters a lot. I think that people need to feel that they are important. And so
And
many people in the world at so many different levels, right, Brenda, feel like either not seen or invisible or not understood. And these
mhm,
kind of basic things about human nature and truly about our relationship with God are so important to me. They always were important to me. I used to
mhm,
be in a formal ministry setting, but I felt that I could really do more specific justice to this passion I had if I got myself trained and became a counselor and was able
mhm,
to really follow that path. So that's kind of how
yeah,
my origins began. It comes from something pretty deep inside me, and it certainly is also guided by my belief that God wants each human being to be loved and respected and treated as a special gift in this world. And it's certainly not the case everywhere.
Yeah, you know what? When I think of one of the reasons I wanted to have you share your story and your work with the listeners, I think because you have been so available to people when I worked together in university ministry all those years ago, your availability to listen, to care for the persons that you were involved in the ministry, to make them feel as if they were the one and the only. I remember this young biker. He was he was climbing mountains in his life. He was actually so just to label him a little bit obsessive compulsive about being fit and being raring to go. And there was this just gentle calling from you for him to settle down. And I just remember how he came out of those experiences with you so leveled in himself, so
Mm.
confident in his listening to his own need to achieve. to a point of almost destruction until he had a chance to settle down. And so I thought, oh, it would be so interesting to hear you talk about, this healing work that you're doing,
Mhm,
and talk about what led you into that and how you
mhm,
feel about being in a profession that is so emboldening for people's lives and not allowing them to become who
mhm.
they are called to become. What inspired you there?
I'm a really fortunate person in that, I had a good family, and that is not the case for a lot of people, as we all know. There a
Mhm.
lot of people have traumas in their childhood, and I mean, I had some traumas, but they weren't generated from my family. But I did have a couple of my own traumatic experiences in life as a child. But let me back that up again by saying I had a good family. I had good parents. They were loving people. They were good people. They were kind people. They were
Whoa.
open people. They let us all be who we were. I'm the youngest of a big crew of seven. So, and even there, I didn't feel lost. I'm so acutely aware that so many people did not have good upbringings, and I did. On the
Mhm.
other hand, what really led me to wanna really, help people figure out how to navigate through life's sorrows and traumas and goodness and all of it is that my father died when I was 15, and it was very sudden and very, very traumatic
Mm.
for our family. And my mom, there she was with 7 of us. She was an amazing woman, and she did an amazing job of helping us, I was the youngest, so I was 15, but the oldest was still only like 30 or ish or
Mhm.
somewhere around there. So we were a young group to lose their father. And nonetheless, we didn't have a bundle of money laying around anywhere or any kind of thing like that. So my mom really showed us, especially those of us that were still at home, we can do this as long as we support one another, love one another, see one another, give each other what we need, and that's what we did. It's what she did, it's what we did. But I had some years there, if we're gonna go dirt honest here, where I was pretty lost. I
Mm.
got myself involved with a lot of self-destructive behaviors, with in
Mm.
my late teens, drinking and all of the worst things you could do for yourself,
Mm.
and drinking, drugs, sexual things, all kinds of things, that were not very life-giving. And I survived that, right? And I came out of that because people believed in me and because
Mm.
people saw that I had more potential than that. So it's really so great when you mention that particular student that we're talking about. It wasn't hard for me to do that with people because people did that for me like crazy. And,
Mhm.
and if it were not for people believing in me, I don't know that I would have really survived that time. I mean, I was pretty self-destructive for a number
Mm.
of years. I remember sometimes when I was in one of those darker places, and my mom was just such a gentle soul. And, I was the only one at home with her. So it was hard for her. She was grieving the loss of a young husband. They were only in their 50s, her and my dad, and, trying to make it financially and all that stuff. But, I'd come home in a very bad place from being out and maybe, doing not healthy things. And she would just tell me, that I deserved better than that I
Mhm.
could have more than that in life. Even once in a while, she had to get stern and mad at me for sure. But for the most part, it was that gentle kind of love. And she would write me these long notes about how much I deserved more than that. And
Mhm.
so again, to to connect those dots, it wasn't very hard for me to figure out once I got my act together that
Mhm.
I wanted to do something in life to help people. I went into the ministries and had just some glorious years of doing campus ministry at Loyola. That was an amazing time for that we shared. And I used to say when I was at Loyola and I decided to go back and start getting my counseling degrees, I said, I want to go do outhouse ministry now. I was doing in-house ministry Now I want to go
Mhm.
do I want to go on the streets. I want to go into the world and do my
Mhm.
ministry that way. I want to
Mhm.
help people feel loved because every single person deserves to feel loved. Every single
Yeah.
person.
And you know what that strikes me to say that somewhere you had to find your feet on the ground to be able to discern, okay, I have this mom that loves me, your mother and your father, but during those difficult years, she loved me. You had to find a way to put your own feet on the ground. How did you get the courage and the will to be able to make those steps of getting the education you needed, getting the direction you needed to get your feet on the ground, to find a direction for yourself?
So, what I did was I was blessed, with strong people around me that encouraged me. A lot of older sisters. I had a lot of strong
Mhm.
women in my life. I was blessed by that. I actually believe strongly in surrounding ourselves with people that are supportive and motivating and believe in people. As a therapist, I can say to someone, you deserve more, you can have a better life, that behavior is not productive. You should try this or that. But they have to feel that from the inside, right? People
Mhm.
need to feel the desire to do better, be better, heal. I'm going to jump a little bit to present moment, but these things definitely link together as you're,
Mhm.
asking so
Mhm.
beautifully for because they do. I mean,
Mhm.
what you and I do today is completely linked to who we were at age 20. It
Mhm.
is. It just is. Although like to believe that we've evolved and grown, and that's what I like people to do. So I do try to encourage people to find the support systems in their life. Who are the people that hold you up, that you can talk to? Every single person that I know, Brenda, needs
Mhm.
to be heard. They need to be listened to. And we
Mhm.
need to give a voice to all the things that lie dormant inside of us. Then we feel seen and heard
Yeah.
and understood. Often with couples, when I work with any two people, and it doesn't even have to be like a romantic coupleship, but sometimes a daughter and a mother, or two
Mhm.
sisters, or whomever it is, whatever. Any two people, I usually tell them near the beginning of our work together, like, our biggest goal here, the thing we're striving for the most, is that you understand each other better by the time we're done with the work we do. That's it.
Mhm.
That you understand each other better. Not that you figure out who's right or wrong, not that you solve your conflicts. I can have a conflict with you as one of my dear friends. We can disagree about something, but if I understand you and you understand me, we're good. Like we're
Mm.
good. I'm
Mhm.
good. So that's how I think I got my feet on the ground was that I had the audience can't see me visually, but I'm holding my hands up like as if I'm holding a group of people together, right?
Mm.
Like
Mhm.
that's what I feel that we need in our lives. We need to have that community around us
To
who
be held.
to be held up when we're falling or to be given a big high five when we're doing good. And I'll say one last thing around this subject. The sad thing is that not everybody does have that. So sometimes as a therapist or as a minister or as sometimes people find it in like 12-step groups or other support groups, but I just really try to encourage people to not isolate away in their own thoughts and feelings. And when I was young, if I would have been left alone, I don't think I would have gotten my feet on the ground ever. But I had
Mhm.
people who never gave up on me. And I
Mhm.
try to be one of those people in my clients' lives. I hope that I'm that way with my friendships. I hope that I'm that way with my sisters, my blood sisters, as well as my friendship sisters. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. We all need that, the relationships that hold us up for the beauty and the gift that we carry within. Yeah?
Yeah.
There's so much, in terms of I think counseling for me has been a really helpful, tool to move and to be transformed in my life. Some of us are lucky to have spiritual directors, people that just journey with us, accompany us with us. And other people have professionals like yourself or psychotherapists, or they get some kind of support from outside that helps them to continue on the journey. What would you say in the times that are overwhelming, like right now in your work? I'm not sure what the people that you see need, but there's a great need out there,
Mhm.
support in our ability to live in a culture that sometimes can be quite violent and
Mhm.
dehumanizing and all the different things that crush us, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's something as simple as being able to make a living, having a job that you can feel valued in.
Yeah, that's so relevant right now, Brenna. It's hard to not speak to that if I'm speaking about anything relevant in my field right now. About a year and a few months ago, when the change in administration did happen, I'm just going to say this directly because it's very significant to my field. Several of my colleagues who are therapists and I talk even sometimes if it's just on a Zoom or whatever, just to kind of, support each other. Again, do that same thing, but how is it
Step
going for
in.
you? Kind of supervision ish like that. Well, all of us have said that in the last year plus, never have we ever seen a bigger need, and I don't think it's too strong to call it this, is a somewhat of a mental health crisis in our country. People are not okay. People are really not okay. They're not okay because they're dealing with, we're all dealing with a lot of fear, a lot of anger, just some basic feelings
Feelings,
of
yeah.
despair. Like, when is this all going to end? When are things going to get better? How did we get here? What's going
Mhm.
on? And on all kinds of levels. So it's been a challenge as a therapist because for a while there at the last year, I remember saying to a couple of friends that or some of my affiliates, some of my own colleagues in my own practice, like, what do you say to people? I was asking that. I'm like, I don't even know what to tell people anymore right now. But I think I figured it out a little bit over the last year. I'd like to believe.
Mhm.
Here's the thing. When I work with a person in their own little system, like, and inside your system, you have many parts. Sometimes you might have a grieving part. Sometimes you might have a bored part. Sometimes you might have an angry part, fearful, what all these different parts. And when I work with a person just one on one like that, I will help them or try to help them to be compassionate and loving toward all their different parts as they come up, but also to compartmentalize them. You got to put that grief on a chair and tell her to sit still for a while. You got to go take care of something, right? You don't have
Mhm.
to feel things all day, every day, throughout your day. You can feel them,
Consume.
right? Name them, claim them, and then give them a rest. And then visit it later. Bring it a cup of tea. Bring that grief some tea. Give her a hug. Say, "How you doing, grief? I'm back to visit with you, but I'll check in with you later." It's that kind of thing. Well, that's what I've
Mhm.
been trying to help people do with their despair about the world right now.
Mhm.
All the different things going on, the war, discrimination, the isms, the horrible things that are going on, is to compartmentalize it a little bit. And certainly it's really necessary. We have to do that. We can't hold all that worry, ugliness. We can't hold
Mhm.
it all at once all the time. We can't.
How
We
do you
can't.
how do you how do you stave off fragmentation? I really get that, and it's also very helpful that they would have somebody to come and talk to when they're addressing grief or anger or fear, as you talked about in the different emotions that come up. At the same time, there's this kind of warning bells going off, in terms of fragmentation because this is everywhere. I think you said rightly, we're all feeling the tension coming from all sides, right? And there's a way where you become overwhelmed by it and you say, put this aside and go deal with this.
You're calling it fragmentation. I'm calling it compartmentalization. Right?
Mhm,
I think
mhm,
the reason that there's a slight difference there is because compartmentalizing is like like, I'm a very organized person, as you know. Like, I like everything to have its place. And so
Mhm.
I have compartments in my life. It's like this
Mhm.
is where my books go, and this is where my this goes, and this is this, and this is this. And I function well that way.
Mhm.
And I do
Mhm.
believe that most people do well when they have some kind of organization to their life. It
A
doesn't have
place
to
for things.
a place for things. It doesn't have to look
Yeah.
like mine, but it has to be
Mhm.
each person's. And so with the state of the world and the kind of fears and anxiety is huge right now. I try to encourage people to find the wins is one of the things I've been talking a lot about with people lately. And what by that I mean, hey, I do a gratitude list every day,
Mhm.
every single day on my phone. I do a gratitude list. I wake up in the morning, I open a list, and throughout the day, it might be, I might have 3 really hard hours. Maybe it's work, maybe it's just my own life, something that's bothering me, blah, blah. But then I take my dogs for a walk. And I usually am extremely grateful when I'm walking my dogs because I love nature. I love being outside with them. I love them. I love animals. So they usually make my gratitude list every day. I'm blessed. I have resources to have nice food on my table every night usually, and sometimes I cooked a piece of salmon today, and so what I'm trying to give examples of is that it doesn't have to be huge, profound things, but I encourage people all the time right now to find the wins in your day, find the things that went well, or if you don't see any, try to make one happen. Right? Now turn on some music, dance, take a nap, make a cup of tea, watch a TV show that makes you laugh. But then there's more deeper things, Brenda, of course, like
Mhm.
prayer. 95% of the people that come to me, thanks, and I say thanks be to God, are people of faith, and
Mhm.
there are a few that aren't. But so for the most part, we're talking about, how God comes into their trauma all the time, every day, in
Mhm.
almost every session for most people what's your prayer like? Are you meditating? Are you finding God present throughout the day? A lot of people are having a hard time accepting what's going on in our world. So they feel a little bit distant from God right now because, like, how could this be happening? So kind of integrating all those things. Yeah.
I like what you're saying, finding it in the simplicity of your life, going for a walk with your dogs, having a meditation. Prayer comes very naturally to me. And one of the things that has helped me I hear you talking, it came to my mind that one of the things that gives me some sort of direction and is going to mass. Now, I
Yeah.
never thought of myself as, a person that's strictly finding God in a church. I don't put God in a box in my lived experience, but going to mass somehow, and I said this at a young age when I was a teenager, but find myself saying it again now as an older person, as a religious, going to mass gives order to my life. It
Yeah.
says, okay, you're going to get up and you're going to go there and you're going to sit and you're going to think and pray and be quiet and you're going to listen and you're going to let go and you're going to do all those things in
Right.
this 45 minutes of time that you give yourself. Uh, Another thing struck me as you were talking. You find the world out there coming into your house when you love people that you are close to and they're somehow on the other side. You know,
Yeah.
what's us flaming liberals call, in the cult. How do you somehow carry the respect and love you have for people that you do love and respect and not understand? It feels like you're being pulled in
Right.
so many different.
It's it's a hard one. It's a hard one, but I, grapple with it just like you do, just like everybody and a lot of clients do as well. Not to mention that I have some clients who are that. And,
Mhm.
and I love these people. And we have had some tough conversations because, there's a part of me that wants to be like, I can't do this. I can't walk with you because here's why, Brenda. It's the same thing that I said earlier. I think I want to understand people. I try very hard to understand people and to have compassion, even when it's something that we don't agree on. But this one is big. Like
Yeah.
this is massive, right?
Mhm.
So I do also have people in my life who I love, and I know that they're on that side of things, and I don't understand that. I don't. I mean, I could tell you right now, I'm getting a little bit of a knot in my stomach because that's what happens when I think, because it hurts me. It hurts
Mhm.
me that I love these people. How could they possibly believe in that? Right. So a lot of times it's just giving it a voice. And I think I try to let people have their voice just like I'm doing right now. But
Mhm.
um, but here's a little bit more of a solution focused answer is for me again personally, and I do encourage this with the clients that I work with too, it's like find the things that you do have in common. If you're going to stay in a relationship with this person because they're family, because they're whatever, and then find what you do have in common and be grateful for that. I do some 12-step work in my own life, and that's another place where I find a lot of spiritual strength. And one of the things that comes across very strongly in the 12-step spirituality, which I think is a amazing spirituality, is acceptance. I cannot tell you how many clients in the last 14, 15 months that I have ended my session by saying, try to pray the serenity prayer every day. Like literally, I probably said it 1,000 times in the last year. But I gotta tell you, to be completely transparent, it's not easy to accept what's going on. I don't accept, like, I
Mhm.
don't accept it. So what
Mhm.
do I accept? Well, I accept that I don't accept it. Like, there comes a point when you just have to accept what is reality.
There's evil and darkness and sadness in the world, and there are people that I judge unfairly in the
Yep,
world.
yep,
Uh, I get that, and I think that the everyday person that can relate so much to that, accept the things you can't change, but you have to change the things that you can. There's a way where we each have that journey to make. The other side is not that far from me, you know, because I need to see you as a human being, and I hope that you're going to see me as a human being.
mhm,
So to try to lessen the distance, and I love what you said, find something that you can come together on,
mhm,
you know, with the
yeah,
person that you think is on the other side.
yeah,
There's something that you can find because that
yeah,
is what makes us human. I can still
yeah,
see the God in you because
yes,
I can find that one thing
yeah.
or that 2 or 3 things that
You
brings us
bet.
together.
And it can be simple. Like I have a family member, we still get along okay. And I don't find myself being mad at him. And one of the ways we do that, this is to your point, is we both love music. We love talking about like documentaries that we watch about old bands. We love rock and roll. We just kind of love that. So when we get together, you can be sure that we both know that we've thought about it ahead of time and we've decided we're going to talk about music. We're going to talk about
Mhm.
these things that we have in common because what we're not going to do is talk about the ways that we differ right now.
That makes sense. It makes sense because it's visceral experience. It's a visceral experience to go there
Yeah.
knowing the person is so far away from your
Yeah.
understanding of who God is and where God is and how God is with us,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Ah,
I want to say to anybody, what do you really actually think Jesus Christ himself would do if he was here right now? Can you just answer that question, right? I have these kind of conversations with clients all the time. The opposite of fear is love. The opposite of fear is love. A lot of what is going on for people right now is a lot of fear. But it's not just fear. It's a lot. It's anger, it's disbelief, it's bewilderment. Yeah, it's a lot.
and faith is connected to that because we always fall back on what we believe, what we value. And so many of us as Christians, but people of all faiths, believe something bigger and better and wider and deeper than what we're experiencing now.
Yes.
Um, I think what we're experiencing now is shallow and mean and quite corrupt, and it's corrupting of our feelings of each other as human beings. Hmm? Yeah.
It is destructive and it is destroying
Mm-hmm.
things.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to, we've got to work even harder, and we will. And I know that I do believe this. I do believe we'll rebuild. But it's hard. And, I work with a lot of young people. I feel sorry for young people. You and I mean, I'd like to believe we've got a good last chapter left still, but I have a lot of clients or family, nieces and nephews, as you do, who are like, 30s and 40s, they've got their whole life ahead of them. And they're looking at this world, and they're trying to raise children, maybe or maybe not. They're not very motivated. They're frustrated. They're scared. They're angry. I mean, some of them are motivated stronger to do something against all of this. Some of them are just giving up. They're like, I don't want to do this life. It's really hard, and it's not very encouraging, and it's full of evil. I have one niece who took her family and went to Greece, and they're doing these exchange programs. She doesn't want to be here. She doesn't want to raise her kids here. I don't blame her, right? But I want her here.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, we just have to keep speaking it, and I think that's part of when I get tired out from my work, and we all get tired from our work. I'm no different than anybody, but when I do, I try to remember that, I'm like a vessel sometimes, and I'm just there to let people speak and be heard. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times that's all people need is just a place to speak it out and to voice their voice and to be heard and to be understood. And sometimes I try to have answers for people, and I'll stop for a minute. And a lot of my work is on Zoom, so I'm looking at people like I am us right now, I kinda try to put, like, a glow around their head when I'm on the camera so that I try to, like, focus in, like, on just what's going on for this person right now. Stop trying to think about the right answer for them and that. Just put that glow around their head and just hone in on them. I do that because I just think that's what people need right now.
You need to see the light in them as we just kind of finish up our conversation
Mhm.
of all the various directions that we travel through in our talk today. What's love got to do with all of it?
Yeah. Everything, I mean, we probably get that answer more than once. Everything. It's got everything to do
Mhm.
with it. It is what it is. And I have definitely said that to, again, countless people in my days that at the end of the day, we're just meant to love fiercely. But loving fiercely doesn't always mean giving up something of yours to the other person. Sometimes it means saying no. Sometimes it means saying yes. Sometimes it means listening. Sometimes it means giving some advice. But love always means being present to whoever it is that's in front of you, and
Mhm.
just put that glow around them and just be there. Just be there. What's love got to do with it? Everything. It's the
Awesome.
answer. We coulda had a 2-minute conversation and just said that, and that would have summed up everything everything I had to say.
Thanks so much, Annette. God
Yeah.
bless you.
Thanks, Brenda. It was great.
And now for the wrap up. You have just had a human experience from a spiritual being. We have so much to learn. So go forth to love and speak the truth. Ad majorem Dei gloriam. A couple of announcements. Don't forget to rate and follow us on Apple Podcast or Spotify. We are on Facebook at Love Speak Truth, and visit our website at www.lovespeaktruth.org. For a few credits, when all is said and done, I give thanks and credit for sponsors, producers, and contributors who made this podcast possible. Mega shout out to IBVM Region Leadership, Megan Butel, Jennifer Schmitz, Laurenti Wright for the keyboard music, the late Sister Maria Beer IBVM for her composition of the music Women Bearing Witness. It takes a village, folks. Thanks for listening to Love, Speak, Truth.